Hey guys, welcome back to BackPocketGameReviews. By the way, for those of you who are new here, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to click thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, you can always hit that subscribe button. There's a little bell too that'll sometimes let you know when I upload videos. But originally, I wasn't really going to do a GameStop video today, and sure as you know what, GameStop did some shady things. Now, what would GameStop have done that was so shady? Because we've talked about a lot of shady things that GameStop has done here on the channel, and this is pretty bad. Like, this is right up there with like the Xenoblade Chronicles incident. For those of you who don't remember, I did a video on it. What GameStop had done was they'd hold copies of this game back when it was a GameStop exclusive, and it eventually became a very hard game to find, and shortly, years after it got discontinued, about a year after the game was no longer on the market and you couldn't find it new, I would get whole new shipments of the game, and we were told to gut them, which is take the wrapper off and everything, and put it out on the floor for a higher price used than what it cost new, for about $90 at its highest. $90 for a game that was $50 brand new. Good job, GameStop. So what they did is recently, ThinkGeek.com had thousands of NES classics, available on their website, which they had stated they got from GameStop, their parent company. Now, a lot of you might go, well, that doesn't seem that shady. Except for the fact that GameStop made you buy these as bundles, none of which were very cheap. The most expensive, I believe, was $260, if I am not mistaken, which came with a whole bunch of merchandise, most of it stuff that obviously wasn't going to sell very well, at a very high markup. So essentially, GameStop making their way to make more profit off of these consoles. They weren't accessories or attachments for the consoles. They were essentially little knickknacks and stuff of Nintendo. That was the only way to buy them. You couldn't buy the console by itself. So no NES Classic by itself, just these bundles, just like they do with the Switch, which I get a lot of you might not find this to be as shady as what it is. But that means they've literally been sitting on these for months after the demand was so high. I mean, most companies sold through all their stock. Not GameStop. They held on to them. That way they could pitch useless crap that you don't want to you. But they do the same thing with the Switch bundles. The Switches are available all the time on their website for $400 to $500 bundles that come with a bunch of stuff you probably don't really want and don't really need with your Switch. It's not like it's coming with a Pro Controller and Zelda and the expansion pass for Zelda and an SD card. That would make sense to sell that as like a bundle and maybe even a case for your Switch. But they're coming with like useless junk that they sell, and the reason why they're pairing that junk with it, such as the little lights and the mystery box stuff that they get in, is because it has a very high profit margin for them. It's something they pay very little for, but they make a lot of money off of selling. And it's also stuff that wouldn't really sell by itself, so it's an easy way for them to push product on you that has a higher price or profit margin for them. It's a way for them to make more money off of the device. So essentially, they're raising the MSRP of this device, but without being as shady as just blatantly raising the MSRP. You are getting more stuff. You're just getting more stuff that they can sell at a markup and make a higher profit margin on. Which I don't know why it shocks me that they would do something like this, but this is honestly one of the shadiest things I think GameStop has ever probably done. This is bad. This is real bad. Apparently, too, there were a bunch of bundles available. Like, someone sent me a screenshot of it. It was really bad. I even read a news article about it. Oh, GameStop, why you gotta be so shady? Out of all the major corporations out there, like, that's pretty bad. Like, you're just blatantly pandering to people for money at this point. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure a lot of you would love to get an NES Classic, but the resale market sells it at almost the same exact price, and probably with junk you're not just going to throw out. Most of them came with extra controllers and the arcade stick. This didn't. It wasn't accessories for the NES Classic, which is startling to me. I kind of just figured they would have sold it on their website for a couple $100. But I've also talked about before in videos that Nintendo and GameStop don't have a good relationship. GameStop doesn't get a large amount of Nintendo game copies. If you go into a Best Buy will dwarf almost every single GameStop store in your district on the amount of copies that they get in one store from Nintendo. Nintendo also likes to do exclusive events with Best Buy. The only thing they typically do with GameStop is Pokemon distributions. And a lot of that comes down to the sheer fact of they don't have a good relationship with them. And a lot of it started from the Xenoblade Chronicle issue, where here we're going to give you this game exclusively for you to sell. And then all of a sudden, they hold on to them and start reselling them. When the Wii U came out, they actually started, the Wii U, when it came out, Nintendo started selling that game digitally for the Wii, the Metroid Prime and the Xenoblade Saga, at a much cheaper price than what GameStop was selling it for used. And again, it's pretty shady that they have this game that was exclusively sold through them, and they just hoarded these copies of it. And then all of a sudden, we started getting shipments, brand new shipments, like unopened boxes, never touched from the factory, with sealed copies, large amounts of sealed copies of this game. Like, we're talking like 30, 40 copies of this game at a time. I didn't get that many copies on day of release. So yeah, that's pretty shady. I think I had like 15 pre-orders for some of those games that they did that to. I don't blame Nintendo for not having a good relationship with them. A lot of that has to do with why you go into GameStop, and a lot of times they're sold out of Nintendo games. When they just come out, like when it's a fresh release. Like Pokemon X and Y, we sold out of those. We probably didn't have enough for the first 2 weeks. You go into Best Buy, they had copies on the shelf the whole time. And I get it, that's one GameStop store, but I mean, that was all GameStop stores in the district. And then when you're sitting on that many, they would tell you to just dip into your pre-orders that people hadn't picked up yet. They'd be like, oh, just dip 20% into your pre-orders. So then someone would come pick up their pre-order, and you're like, oh, we're sorry, we don't have your copy of the game because we sold it because corporate told us to. Yeah. Some shady shit, GameStop. Like, that's pretty ridiculous. Well, guys, I figured you'd want to hear about that. I was going to hold off on doing a GameStop video. I thought I was going to go this whole month without talking about GameStop. And don't get me wrong, I still have plenty of stories left of my time working there. I'm just trying to save them until we get into the busy time of the year. So like October is when I'm going to start dropping more GameStop stories in a more frequent basis. But man, that's some bad. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. If you think it seems to be shady that GameStop gave them thousands of NES classics. You know, the system that was supposedly underproduced and scalpers bought every single one of. Great job, GameStop. Happy to know that you're just as good as the scalpers. You're just as shady and miserable of a person. But guys, if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. I'll plenty more content coming for you soon, so stick around.